Yeah, so CryptoVillages is it's a crypto game, believe it or not, that kind of combines a number of different elements of different games. And the unique thing about us is we have a passive income component to our game as well. So we have well, I might as well start the presentation in that case because that's one of our first slides. So yeah, so for those who don't know me, I'm Mitch/Poseidon, and in this particular server, this is my escape server, the relaxing server. So you'll see me as Brosidon here, which is a bit of a play on words joke. But so yeah, excuse me, sorry. So our project is CryptoVillages, and yeah, it combines a number of different elements, which I'll go through shortly. But essentially, it's a crypto game where players, they purchase our token, they interact with our platform, do a variety, undertake a variety of different, quests, different tasks, and it's a play to earn, so they make money as they go along. And so I'll go through the basics just very quickly. Let's see, here we go. Yeah, so one thing about our game that's different to other games is that we have two currencies. We have a cryptocurrency, which is our CVGT token, and we have an internal currency called doubloons. And basically what happens is, everything on the blockchain with gas fees, etc., playing a game with a lot of interactables can get quite expensive. So players will purchase the CVGT token initially and deposit it into the game, where it will get exchanged for doubloons, our internal currency. And while they're in the game, there's no gas fees. So anything they do within the game, there's no gas fees. So, they can trade, buy, sell to their heart's content. And yeah, essentially, we're in the pre-sale at the moment in terms of our premium buildings and our stakeholder buildings. But once the game's launched and those sales have ended, we'll have standard buildings. And a player who has purchased and exchanged for our currency will purchase buildings within the game. And as I mentioned before, they'll do in-game quests. So there's a variety of different mini games and quests within our platform, and all of those will earn additional doubloons. And when players have decided they want to withdraw that, they can withdraw the doubloons for CVGT again, at which they can sell on the exchange. And so essentially, there's an initial capital investment in terms of buying buildings, but as players go along, the profit's made by undertaking these different quests. And,
okay. So real quick, so your CV token is
CVGT.
Yeah, CVGT. That is the token itself that I transact with for BNB. So like that's the one that will have its BNB pair.
Yes.
Okay, so the only way that you can get the G token is by having CVGT, correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So you'll purchase the CVGT, and then there's an exchange of a 1 to 100. So one CVGT token is worth 100 doubloons, and that's the off-chain currency used within the actual game itself.
Very cool. And then you sell the D token back out for CGBT whenever you want to realize your gains from the actual game itself.
Yeah, so we obviously hope that people enjoying the game and want to purchase more buildings or continue playing the game and reinvesting in the game. But should they want to withdraw for CVGT token, they re-exchange the doubloons for CVGT, and it goes back into their wallet.
Very cool, very cool. Sorry, I like to do simple breakdowns on stuff like this just to have it on deck.
No, that's
doubloons. How'd you come up with doubloons?
It's from an old video game I used to play 15 years ago called Puzzle Pirates, actually. And I just liked it. I thought that's a really it's a really cool. It's a Spanish currency. I thought, yeah, I'm going to copy that. So I basically stole from another game. So
cool, love it.
Yeah. So the one thing about this our project is it is incredibly complex. So asking questions as you go along makes it a lot easier than flicking back and forth at the end. So help yourself with that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. And so just to jump back in. So the fundamental gameplay, can be broken down into a few different mini games. And originally we were going to have just the wilderness raiding, which is on the left hand side at launch, but now with the bear market, we have plenty of time to keep working on these other game mini games. So who knows what's going to happen? But so basically, and I'll go through these in a second in the actual demo. But we have wilderness raiding, which is you send your troops out into the wilderness to collect resources, which you can use to upgrade your buildings, or you can trade on the marketplace. And depending on if you want to reinvest in the game or build your army up, that type of thing. We have PvP, which will be the Cryptopian Warzone, which will be it's a turn-based. Think of Heroes of Might and Magic 3. For those who know Heroes of Might and Magic 3, that's kind of like the map there, which you basically use your troops to fight each other. We have, I think it's a pretty cool game type. We have Defend Cryptopia, which involves, periodically mini boss, world bosses are going to spawn, and the idea is to, they'll be available around for a certain period of time, and as a server, everyone needs to combine up, work together to kill them. And if they manage to do that in the allotted time period, the entire server gets like a buff, a bonus for a period of time. So it might be 10% more resources earned, or 10% less cooldown, that type of thing. So I think it's pretty cool. It's a little uniting community thing where you'll jump on and say, metacaptain, quick, we have to kill this boss, quick, jump on as quick as you can, type thing. And yeah, we have a marketplace which kind of forms the fundamentals of the stakeholder buildings, which is what this presentation is going to cover in a bit more detail. But I always like to jump into the demo sooner rather than later because it's awesome and it gives a bit more context. So this is our latest demo that I'm about to show. It's version 0.05. And the cool thing about this one is it has day-night cycles. And oops, I saw you on mute, Meta.
And before you go further, just to give anybody who's listening to this now or in the future, but the first thing that I thought of the first time we talked about all this, and what kind of comes to mind even right now again, is this ring strong with a Clash of Clans, just as far as the general feel of the game and the look of the game. Obviously, you have some extra added modes in there, and you're doing different things, but just the general idea.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because I was going to say it's funny you say that because part of what we've been trying to do from the start is, we obviously being a crypto game, there's a profitability aspect, things like Axie, those types of games. That is, that's what we're here for, is profit. But at the same time, we're really trying to, push that, that enjoyment factor, that intrinsic factor. So Clash of Clans is definitely something that pops into mind. And, when we're looking at, when we do start, really pushing the marketing towards right before launch, we're going to be focusing predominantly on, Clash of Clans streamers and game streamers as opposed to crypto game streamers, because at the end of the day, you need that extra fun component. Otherwise, it's just going to be a click to earn, and it's just going to be like any other click to earn type game, like a miner type thing, which is the opposite of what we want to be. So, but yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's I kind of had that vision like Age of Empires meets Clash of Clans. And another thing with Clash of Clans is people are pumping billions of dollars into that without any financial incentive, just because it's fun. It's $1 billion industry there, and that's just one example is Clash of Clans. But yeah, so what I'll do is I'll show the demo now without further ado. See if I can get this right. There we go. So just to check, Meta, you can hear the sound at the moment?
No. For your game, I cannot hear any sound.
Oh, okay. That's okay. Let me just... it's always the case with Discord. I should always test it before. That's okay. It might be easy to hear me anyway if I don't have the sound on. Yeah. So this is the newest home screen where you'll be able to choose a username. This is a new feature. Just to note that it's not binding to begin. So it's not as no multiplayer used to start with. So, but still pick your username carefully, because if you have something that's there's profanity or anything, when we do activate all the social features, we're gonna have to you have to message us and change it, that type of thing. But this is kind of the start feature. This is the starting screen. And then once you've connected to your MetaMask wallet, we have the home screen. And if the sound was working, there's music all throughout, which was community picked. We had a couple of competitions to see what type of music the people liked. We gave them a variety of options, and it's turned out really well. And so what I'll show you guys today is I'll show you the extra features to begin with. So we have things, this is our deposit and withdrawal screen where you either deposit or withdraw the token. And it's a fairly straightforward, smooth process. One thing we're trying to do is keep everything as simple as possible. So the average user can just jump in and start playing. They don't need to understand too much about it. So in this situation, what you would be doing, is when you first started, you would enter, how many CVGT you want to deposit. You click exchange. We've only got the front end for this demo. None of the we have no API calls or anything like that. So you'd exchange, and then you'd get your doubloons. And after that, when you're ready to go, you'd withdraw. So kind of that's the fundamentals of our deposit withdrawal section system. And what else we got? So I'll show you that one at the end actually, but I'll show you guys the village, the latest village version. As you guys can see, we have a day-night cycle now, which is kind of cool. And what we're planning on doing is we're planning on doing a mini game once a day at night time. There'll be a thief that starts lurking around, and if you can catch him, you'll get a reward once a day. Those types of daily, prizes that aren't just, click for reward. You have to actually, have a bit of fun with it. Give me 1 second, sorry. And as you can see, we've got a lot more animations than we previously had in other demos. We've got Major Academy there, which is one of my favorites. Unfortunately, with the timing, we've actually hit the day part of the cycle, so I'll have to talk for a little bit. As you can see here, we've got our different resources panel.
What are you doing?
We've got
what?
Guys, we've got some cool little. Where's that little tumbleweed? There we are.
Okay, it's okay.
We've
Can
got
you take it?
It's just one second.
Whatever, leave her alone. Next time, don't try to snap at me and just use your mouth.
Hey, Don, your mic's on. Sorry, mate. Yeah, sorry, mate. Oh, there we go. Cool. All good. And yeah, so we've got just a variety of features here. I'm just kind of alluding till nighttime, which it looks like it's coming now. Do note that the day-night cycle is not going to be this quick when when the final version's out. It's just for showcase purposes. I guess in the meantime, so for purchasing food, we have our vendors set up. Food is one of the basic staples of the game. Food is required for feeding the fundamentals, which is feeding your troops, which I'll show you guys here. So you'll have different barracks here, and there's different levels. You can upgrade your buildings, and in order to do that, there's an experience bar, there's a food meter, and it's just it's one of the staples of the game. And I've sufficiently mumbled on enough for nighttime now, because one of my favorite features is this. So as you can see, we've got day-night cycle, and there will be different events for both day and night. And I'll show you guys a couple of cool things here. So all the buildings light up, etc. We've really been focusing on the animation side of things again for that intrinsic factor to to really get that playability, that excitement factor, that entertainment factor. We have the marketplace, which is kind of a fundamental. It's fundamental to the stakeholder buildings where players can buy, sell, trade, just that type of thing. And if we go back to the home screen, we have the wilderness raiding map, and this is where players can send their troops. They can send them out on raids. So they might decide to send their troops here, and they can raid with the current building. And then after they're finished, we haven't got anything else, any of the mini games or anything set up there. But at the end, you have a raid completion where you'll get rewards, which again use to upgrade and upgrade your troops, and you can buy and sell those with other players who need those resources. And just one final thing will be the claims section. So the stakeholder buildings I'll be speaking about shortly, but this is one of the this is the claim section for that. So if anyone's dealt with any reflection tokens, that type of like an EGC panel type thing, it's kind of meta's area of expertise compared. But yes, this is basically the stakeholder building is a passive income building, and we'll be implementing a system where rewards are automatically sent to you, but if you prefer to get them sooner rather than later, there's that manual option. And yeah, so I'll go back now to let me just switch to back to the presentation. Cool. And then so yeah, that's the demo, the version 0.05. I do apologize for not being sound. I've not successfully pulled off sounds properly with Discord because I thought sharing the screen would work, but I guess it needs to share the actual window. And yeah, so just to continue on then with the presentation. So the three types of buildings we have: a standard, premium, stakeholder. And it does get a little complicated, but it's not too bad. But essentially, standard buildings and premium buildings are nearly identical. The premium buildings being the pre-sale buildings, and they're in limited quantity. So at the moment on our website, people can purchase the premium and stakeholder buildings, but not the standard buildings. Those are only available on launch in the game. So standard buildings they're unlimited, and they're a basic version of the premium buildings. So when PvP begins, the premium buildings are going to have a slight edge over their standard counterparts, but the way we're designing it, that's not going to be the be all and end all. Only in very, very close games will the premium buildings have an edge. But yeah, so when you hear the difference between standard and premium buildings, they're identical. It's just premium have advantages, and they're available before the game launches, and then not available after launch. Which brings us to the stakeholder buildings, which is the major component that we're pushing at the moment, and it's the passive income thing, side of the game that a lot of people that we talk to in these channels are interested in most. So yeah, the stakeholder buildings, they're a passive income building. And what happens is we have a marketplace in the game, as I mentioned, and these buildings receive a percentage of all those any transaction on the marketplace. And so, just give me 1 second, guys. Hey, buddy. Sorry, my dogs are always in the way. Hello, buddy. So we have whenever there's a transaction done on the marketplace, whether it be selling resources, relics, food, buildings, anything, there's a 3.5% marketplace fee, and of that, 1.5% of that goes to the stakeholder pool. And essentially, that is the sum of all these buildings, all these stakeholder buildings, and it gets divided amongst all the stakeholder building owners. And so, all these trades that happen during the day, build up, and then the CVGT tokens distributed amongst all the holders. And yeah, so that's I'll let's go to the next slide for a second. And the important thing to note is that there is no time limit on these. These are this is passive income for the life of the game. We will never ever dilute down your shares. You will never hear, oh, we're adding an extra X number of buildings and your shares suddenly worth less. We've said from the very start that what we're delivering to you is what is going to stay there for life. And that's a way to say a thank you to our earlier adopters of the game. And yeah, so the strength behind this compared to a lot of other passive income streams is that there's that utility. The word of the day, utility. But yeah, there's actually from day one there's actual utility. There's not you don't have to rely on people buying and selling the token. It's just the more people that play the game and have fun within the game, the more the passive income earners receive. So essentially, the idea is to make the game as fun as possible, and then our stakeholder building holders benefit from that. So one thing we're definitely aiming for and is very achievable is that for the first 60 days, we're trying to get everyone's ROI back in the first 60 days. And one way we're doing that is we're doubling the transaction fee return to 3%, and we're combining that with the fact that on launch there'll be a lot of all the premium buildings, for example, that they cannot buy anymore. People who've held them before might want to sell them. There are a few people who have bought a bunch to sell, that type of thing, and so we're predicting that that 3% is going to push that ROI back to our investors. Just for that initial, adoption, that early phase of the game where everyone's just trading. There's a lot going on, so to speak. And so that's what that's our goal for our stakeholder building holders. And
do the buildings do cool things for you in the game?
Yes. So the stakeholder buildings, the stakeholder buildings involve no interaction with the game whatsoever. So that's the other beauty of it, is that if you want that passive income but you have no interest in playing the game, that's what the stakeholder buildings are for. So you never have to interact with the game.
No. I'm asking for the other way around though. Like, what if you are into the game but you want building to do something cool for you in the game?
Oh yeah, so that's where the premium buildings and stuff come in. So the premium buildings, for example, have when PVM comes, the premium buildings have advantages that standard buildings don't. In PvP, you get cool troops. There's a lot of bonuses for the premium buildings, but the stakeholder buildings, to go back to the demo, actually, would be a good idea. Let me go to the village. So if you don't own a particular building, for example, you'll see it under construction. And as you upgrade the buildings, the highest tier you own will appear on the map. So, for example, you'd have a construction site here. It's not the same with stakeholder buildings because some of them are so rare, and it would kind of, I think, frustrate everyone to have, a permit under construction. For example, there's only 70 banks available ever, so that means that apart from 70 players, everyone else has, an under construction sign there. So, but yeah, so the buildings in game, the cosmetics, you can see them upgrade as you go along, but they also have unique troop types and bonuses in other game categories. And also another thing to note is that this is the Founders Edition for the buildings, so these particular skins will not be available in the future. We have, as time goes on, we'll have cosmetics and different seasons, but these are very unique in that, we're never going to be doing the royal blue, and the buildings might look differently in the future. But yes, I hope that's answered your question somewhat. But yeah, so that kind of loosely covers. Just give me 1 second. That loosely covers the game component, but one thing I want to talk about is the elephant in the room, which is the market at the moment, because we're in a bear market. So and basically, why invest in us? Why invest in anyone right now? Basically, but I can't speak for the projects, but I can speak for ours. And so, yeah, I mean, goes without saying, we're in a bear market. I think I've said it from the start, Bitcoin's going to fall even further. And yeah, so why, why us? What's going to stop us from just becoming another statistic, this bear season? And I guess the number one thing I've said from the very start of this is that we predicted this. You've had COVID, everyone locked in, all this expendable income that they were going to use for holidaying and partying or whatever it is that people do, and they've been locked in. And they go, oh, let's get into crypto, which is why you've seen that the peak. And as everyone was getting out of lockdown, and as the pandemic was ending, that money has to be pulled out again. And then that combined with an economic downturn, it was very obvious 6 months ago that this. And so everything we've done has been in preparation for this particular moment. It came a bit quicker than I thought, to be honest. But yeah, so ever since the start, we've the entire team has been none of us have invested anything because we've needed to keep that we've wanted to make sure that when this happens, we've got the funds to get through the entire project, and we're in a very strong position for that at the moment. And so yeah, just to continue. And all our pre-sales have been done in BUSD for that reason as well, because again, like BNB was gonna, the market was over, way too overpriced. And so every time that these downswings happen and the projects are folding or having financial difficulty, we've been stable, and we will continue to be using BUSD. Just a lot, it's a lot. I think all projects really that have that risk of the market swings affecting them should be using BUSD, not necessarily huge ones. And as Meta was talking about in terms of we will be pairing with BNB, but for now all our pre-sales are in BUSD. And one of the major things is that we've from the very start we've gone from the community driven responsible ROI in terms of where we saw the market. So it was a bit hard to compete with other projects offering 1.8 billion APY, that type of thing. And we had a lot of people who saw our project and thought, oh, that profit isn't there that they're looking for, which is absolutely fine. But from the very start, we've been focusing on a sustainable ROI. And as a result, the people who have jumped on board with our project so far know exactly what to expect. They're happy to ride it out and get their rewards back over time. And so we've got probably one of the strongest communities in terms of anti-FUD. We've had no one even concerned about the project, anything like that. And yeah, so all that combined has put us in a really strong position and bring on the bear market really for us. And one of our strategies is we want to focus on, as the game grows, bringing new people into the crypto market that weren't into crypto beforehand, which in the market might not be the easiest thing in the world, but in terms of gaming, having a game that has a strong community and has a lot of fun behind it is one of the best ways, I think, to introduce people into the crypto space that might not get into it for a basic token, that type of thing. So so we basically battened down the hatches and we're in a pretty good strong position. So with any other other projects you see, and you're looking at us, those are the reasons I suggest that people, if they want to get on board, they're happy. We'd love to have you. Yeah, we're a pretty strong group. We don't use hype. We don't, say anything that's unrealistic. Yeah, and so I guess that's kind of the end of the presentation. One thing we always like to do at the end is to give a quick little thank you. So, for the next 24 hours. 1 second, Max, what are you doing, buddy? Max is getting FOMO. He's just running around. One of my dogs. He's running around and barking at the other one. Shh, buddy. So we will. If anyone is interested and they do purchase any buildings, premium or stakeholder, in the next 24 hours, we'd love to airdrop you some tokens so on launch you can play without having to purchase it. And yeah, that's basically the presentation. And so thanks for letting me give this talk. I'm usually in the server in another capacity, which is kind of grilling other projects. So I kind of expect a little bit of a grilling, which I'm looking forward to. So, but yeah. So, Meta, if you want to take it away.
Always. Okay. So, typical, question comes up. So, the way your economy breaks down now, it's a very well thought out economy, by the way. But the way it breaks down now is they've got C token, your crypto village token, and they are exchanging that to you on platform for D token. And then whenever they or anybody takes out D token to get their money back, they get C token. Where do you derive your revenue from?
Yep. So as a team, we have a team wallet which we receive at 0.5% every week for 4 years, and so that's where we get our revenue stream from. And so that kind of we've designed that in a way that if this game launches and in 3 months falls apart, then all this has been for naught. So we've got a very small piece of the pie given to us every week over 4 years.
Okay, and is your current plan to just take those tokens through a DEX trading bot and just sell them against the market as respectfully as possible?
100%, and that's one thing that we're everything that we're doing is going to be completely transparent. In times of if there's turbulence, we will not be selling. That's one thing that earlier on we've refrained from giving any. There's no streamer, no external party that receives our token on prior to launch, so we're not going to have any of that dumping that other people do, and we ourselves are going to be very responsible with that. And yeah, because that's the key to the game's survival as well, to make sure that the team are doing it responsibly.
Well, on live, to go ahead and shoot you an idea to push your game possibly even heavier mainstream and give you some food for thought, I would consider doing an embedded swapper with a fiat on ramp, so somebody can immediately just buy direct C token, and then swap it out for D token, right? RD within your game. When they do so, it pulls you up C tokens, and then you can also have anybody who's buying against the market. If they buy against through your swap, they're actually buying those tokens and giving you money. So then now you either have fiat or you have BNB, however they're purchasing them. So if they purchase them in BNB, they purchase them through your platform right then and there, and they're actually purchasing the tokens that somebody else just swapped over for D token.
Yeah, gotcha. I wouldn't be able to comment on that in terms of, I don't know how it would work with different countries, that type of thing. But I mean, anything like that would be awesome in terms of, anything that, it also reduces, I think it reduces, that threshold people need to, join and start playing the game as well. So my answer to that is I have not looked into that, but broadly speaking, we are looking into as much as we can to, reduce that initial difficulty in playing the game.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know about like any other country other than America, so I have no idea. in America, you're all like I'm speaking from the fact of just like partnering with like you can partner with a swap that already has those regulations worked out, if that makes sense. So that's because that's what I was talking about. Just like go ahead and partner with like Ember or Flues or somebody like that already has all that worked out, and then just embed that directly on, and then have your own private router contract to handle the transactions of the actual token. That's all very possible, and like the APIs are all readily available.
Yeah, I think Ethan, are you there? Sorry, mate.
Yeah, man. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, could you hear that loosely?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Dude, that was such the chillest answer. His answer said it all. He was just like, "Yeah, man, what's up?" That means he probably already thought about like half of this or all.
Yeah, he was speaking about it the other day. No, it's just we were also up late playing Smash Carts last night. So we on a Saturday night Australian time at the end of the night to play a little video games. I think we kind of pushed a little bit. So I was wondering if you're still awake, to be honest.
Just about. But yeah.
Yes.
So on that, I suppose it's technically possible. But down here in Australia, our regulations are a little bit better defined, and it makes it quite difficult to have any sort of fiat interaction, especially internationally.
I told Poseidon like on the AMA that he did in our group that I listened to like that 160 minutes, and from Australia. It was like an Australia 60 minutes, and they were talking about crypto. I had to turn it off. It scared me. Like they scared me with the way they talked about it. They really don't like that shit down there. That's crazy. That's wild. It's all a scam to them.
Oh, in Australia, everything's that way, though. I think I mentioned that last time as well. Australia, it's everything's scary. We really are backwards in a lot of areas. So, but yeah, so in Australia, it's I won't go into what how crypto works over here in terms of how the government recognise it, but suffice to say, it's very, very backward. They are. I think there's a commission later in the year that's looking into it. And it also, it's the thing with crypto gaming is a lot of the the Latin American community is very big over there, so there's it's a very diverse demographic. So in terms of what we were talking about, it might, depending on the American share, it might be a lot of work for a small percentage of our player base, but I guess it's one of those things that's going to tackle as we get, there. And that's one thing I did remember to mention is that before we launch, we are going to be doing a lot of beta testing, and everyone will be participating if they want. Everyone's invited to participate to test all the mechanics, test the economy, etc. So we're going to be able to pick up a lot of these different issues as we go along. So if people are struggling to deposit and withdraw before launch, we have time to tackle those things. And I have a question from Ernie about ads, and the question is, what about ads or banners to help with operating costs? And you can people can watch ads for tokens, or people can watch an entire ad, or do particular activities for tokens. Potentially. The first thing I think of is with that is it takes away from that fun factor, but I know that a lot of games do it.
Man, if you have like a loot unlock time period, like a chest unlock or something like that, everybody will watch at least one ad just to like cut the time in half or something like that. I do it all the time on some silly little distraction game that I'll play. It's fantastic stuff.
I guess from a purely project point of view, it's not something we would want to have on launch if we can help it. If costs are, aren't an issue, just purely because we want to really immerse players in. I do know a lot of projects have those extra things, but we're not really. So we're not going for the team. We aren't money hungry people. Obviously, we want to be able to put food on the table type thing, but we're not looking at ways to increase revenue in that respect. So as long as there's enough money coming to feed our families, etc., most of it is going to be pumped back into the game for expansions and that type of thing. So we haven't really thought about how to really maximize costs at the moment. But again, costs can spiral out a little bit, and it might have to be something we bring in. Which is there's a lot of different things like that we could do.
So like you said before, I think we're going to have to hold numerous little chats, at least in different places or something about the game, because I'm kind of interested. We've never actually talked about troops, because we talked about going to war, doing PvP stuff. Have you guys already got your all's development down for that? Have you already started down that path? Are there troops available? Is there a paladin knight somewhere?
So there's in the white paper is the documentation for a lot of that. A lot of that isn't documented as well, in terms of testing. But in terms of development, we haven't gone down that route just yet. And that's it's funny because this project is two exposure campaigns within one. So the stakeholder buildings we're talking about today is so different, in terms of the types of people who might want them, who don't even want to play the game, versus the actual gamers themselves. And so, yeah, I completely agree. It's definitely more than one conversation. So, yeah. So the idea at the moment we're finalizing. We're selling off all the stakeholder buildings. I think we've got 2 castles left out of 15 castles, and as you can see, everyone gets their own unique castle. They work with that artist directly, and then we're focused on the stakeholder buildings, and then after that, once those are sold out, then there's no need to really focus on them, and in future AMAs we can focus purely on the game itself.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that's so hard to tackle everything.
Yeah, well, and it's still ongoing development, and the way that ongoing development works is things always kind of shift just a little bit here and there. So I'm sure you're going through a little bit of that yourself. I know we go through it a lot at NBC. We're not necessarily making a game, but we develop a lot of the same type of stuff.
Yeah, we've actually got a new dev starting in 8 hours. So he'll be working, as we're getting bigger, we're expanding. So we basically we don't have all of our team aren't in our server. Well, they are. They're in the server. They're not listed. So we have a couple of Unity guys. Ethan is our Web3 guy, and we've got we call him an apprentice. An apprentice Ethan, who's basically his job will be to learn the game inside out for when the game launches. He's a 24/7.
Is his name Ethan?
No, it's Brandon actually, so it's close.
His name's Brandon, and you call him
apprentice Ethan. But okay, in my defense, he I met him a number of years ago. He lives about 5 minutes from me, and he's very competent. But we were saying, because Ethan's been setting up, he's been doing all the back end stuff, and it's Brenda's job to learn everything. So if anything goes wrong, everything needs to be basically a 24/7 on call fix this type of guy. And the good thing about him living 5 minutes from me, because I don't sleep, is if he's asleep and something's wrong, I can just drive to his house and start honking my horn.
You're just so savage, though. He's a apprentice.
he's going to listen to this, and he's going to. Yeah, I think he's still asleep. So, but on that note, by the way, in 11 hours, I think 11 hours, we're doing Ethan will be doing a live stream. He's going to be spending 2 or 3 hours doing a lot of back end coding. And if anyone has any questions on either the game or in general, Web3 and how things have been made, or if you had, if something wasn't quite right in another project and you're curious, or you have any general questions, Ethan will be there to answer it, and we'll all be there. It'll be it's more of a laid back thing. Ethan will go through his stuff and he'll get really excited, and we'll have to all act like we know what he's doing and kind of go, yeah, that looks awesome. You're doing it perfectly. And apprentice Ethan will be there. So
Okay, very nice. Sorry, I was trying to figure out check my audio. Okay. Anyways, all right. Well, I'm probably gonna have to hop off here. My wife just got home, and I feel like I should spend some time with her.
yes, it's Saturday night, so I appreciate you doing this. I also have a little present for you. I'll send you a message afterwards to say thank you for hosting this on a Saturday night when I had to reschedule in the first place for family reasons. Well, I guess on that note, if anyone does have any questions, please feel free to message me. And yeah, like our server.
Real quick, actually, how much does a stakeholder building cost?
So on our website we have the stakeholder buildings. The trading post is the. Oh, let me go back to the other slide for a second. Oh, you guys can't see my screen anyway, can you?
No.
Okay, so the trading post is one marketplace share, and that's $500. The bazaar is $1,250, and it's 3 marketplace shares, and the bank is 7 shares, and it's $2,500. So as you get further up, the value for dollar becomes it's more cost effective to get the bank, for example, compared to the trading posts.
So you said those are one like the slide that you had up earlier. It read that they were one of ones. Is that just in design? Because I know.
No, so basically, yeah. So if you take all the stakeholder buildings and combine them, all the the number of stakeholder shares they're worth, that equals 1,425. And so within that, that's how many each are worth. So a trading post is 1 out of 100 out of 1,425. If that makes sense. It's hard to explain without. Let me just bring up my screen again. Share my screen. Your wife's probably thinking you probably heard it and went, "Oh no, I thought you were coming."
No, but I think I mean, yeah. Maybe let's see the slide. You got the slide.
Yeah, there we go.
I think it. Sure. Yeah, we'll go with this one. No, okay, so it was a different slide that I was trying to reference. I think it was saying that the I don't know if it meant the look of it or if it just meant something else, but that it was like they were all, even though there was multiple of the buildings, but each one was individual.
Oh, you mean the castles?
Yeah.
So that's at the end. Give me one. These ones here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So castles. There's only 15 castles, or there's only 2 left. There's 15 castles in total. Those are the big ones. They're the $5,000 ones. So those ones, everyone works with our artists to make their own castle however they want to. So these are a couple of the designs that the guys have thought of. So they work with our artist, and they design those. There's a fair few other perks with castles. For example, when PvP comes out and we have bracketing, they get to name the bracket. So I could name it the Poseidon bracket if I wanted to, or a lot of the people who own castles are part of. We have a streamer called Solchidunga. He might name it the Solchidunga bracket, that type of thing. But yeah, these are just for castles. So castles are very unique, which I kind of did gloss over, but because there's only 2 left, I was more so focusing on the mainstream buildings. If that answers your question.
So, and how many shares of the castle's worth?
15.
So each castle's worth 15 shares. Okay.
Cool. Yeah. But with castles, we also, you won't see them on the website. We interview anyone who's purchased a castle. We interview beforehand to make sure that they're looking to play play and interact in the game. We have a vetting process for that, purely because we don't want people who are just looking to flip them, and then on launch we have 2 or 3 castles in the marketplace, and it kind of looks like it just has a bad image for the game when we're promoting the community. We want to make sure that those castles are. That's why we also help them design custom castles, because we really want those to be individualized, and yeah, so there'll be various competitions where you can pick allegiances, that type of thing, and we're really focusing some of the early lore around castle holders, and they have their own unique title in our server. You'll see royalty, and yeah, there's a lot of fun little things that go with that.
Sorry, I was talking to my wife. I wasn't listening to you.
That's okay. And apologies for glossing over that particular fact as well. It's just I like the artwork, so
Yeah, no, they're cool. I mean, I can see myself designing a castle. I'm probably not going to buy one because it's a bigger market and that's a lot of money. But yeah, I could see myself designing one. It would be cool. And
yeah, it was kind
I'm
of cool
also
because on the sorry.
I'm also assuming that, like you said, they'd come with like extra perks down the road, maybe some special troops. I would just like to think that if I bought a castle, I could like build a special hero from that castle.
I if there's a slot for it, by all we have no reason why not. Our guys love working, or our artist loves working with the guys, and vice versa. So we have no issue with designing anything like that in the future. Yeah, so basically wherever there's opportunity for the castles to have those unique features, we very much like accommodating those guys, even if it is a floating castle with a portal. Isn't that right, T-Bot? I can see in the chat. He's currently working with our artist. He's building a floating castle. It's got a portal and a statue of where he went to college. That the mascot. It's just a very unique build, but it looks really cool. So, yeah. Well, I guess it's because I know you need to go. If anyone does have any questions, feel free to flick me a message. I've got a couple through now. I won't answer any. I'll once I get off here because Meta has to go. I'll tend to those. I can see the numbers popping up there. I'll do my best to answer everyone as thorough as possible.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you all for joining us this evening. I think it was a fantastic chat. We'll end up having a couple more of these just on the Crypto Villages overall. Great project, but a lot to it and more to discuss for sure. I think
thanks again for hosting, mate, because you know the space and you know gaming, so it's you've asked the good questions at the right time, so I think it helped the listeners a lot as well.
Yeah, in general, it lets anybody who's like looking at like investing in the game or investing in like the project in general from like an outside perspective, because there's a lot of people that they're going to look at this and they're going to go, hey, I'm never going to play that. But if they've got something good going on, maybe it's worth just buying into. And the good thing to consider is if the game works and it works well and people do enjoy playing it, the only way that they can get the D the only way that they can get the D is if they have the C token to begin with. So they have to buy the C token. That creates like some buy pressure, hopefully some volume too if there's like a lot of turnover with the game and participants and stuff, but at least some buy pressure. And then, yeah, of course, there's going to be some sell pressure whenever they exit the market. But if there's a lot to do in game and it's engaging, they won't exit, and they'll just have to continue to purchase in order to get that D that they want so bad.
You're setting me up there. I'm not saying anything, but the one thing I'll say, yeah. So the reason we plan on launching the token right before the launch of the game is so that when there is that immediate people that people can deposit and purchase buildings, and when they purchase buildings, they lock that capital up until for that 45 to 60 days ROI that those in-game buildings get, which I think I didn't know if I mentioned that stat before. So on launch, rather than there being a token that's been sitting around for a while, people who want to play the game will be purchasing and the token and then depositing it straight away. So there's going to have that those immediate positive effects from day naught.
I almost mentioned it to you because that's how it's actually all built, correct? It's all supposed to be built to where it's like 45 or 90-day return. So like theoretically, even if you were somebody who decided, hey, you wanted to go ahead and get a castle, but you got a castle today, you're in theory supposed to be able to receive your return on that within 90 days. Is that correct?
We're going for 60 days, and what we're doing is we are boosting the rates of the initial rates. So that's not a 60-day cyclic thing. Not every 60 days that people that wouldn't be sustainable. But the combination of all the marketplace activity on launch plus that increased rate, that's how we're going to get that there. But after that, it'll obviously teeter off to more of a sustainable rate of return. But we want to make sure that the stakeholders who have been around from the very start and who especially this year now that the market's been like that, we want to reward them, and the number of projects that have promised passive income and returns this year, especially, and just haven't delivered. We've done our best to really make a sustainable economy that, you know, kind of puts some faith back into passive income, even if it's in a bit of a unique way.
Cool. Very cool. Man, this person's this Moon Booty DeFi Physics Lab like logo thing is really eye catching.
Hey Moon, how you doing?
Oh man, hold on.
You came at the very last minute. Sorry.
Sorry, brother.
That's okay. Moon's
Wait,
one of our card holders.
Is this
It was
okay?
it
Sorry,
was-
I thought for a moment it was gonna be The Apprentice.
No. The apprentice is still Apprentice Ethan is still asleep. No, Moon is one of our castle owners. So
Every time I say Apprentice Ethan, I want to say Imposter Ethan for some reason.
Well, it's funny you say that because a lot of our now that we've got our community team roaring and we're going to start a lot of campaigning, a lot of our stuff's going to be around games. So I've been wanting to play games with you since I met you, but you're always too busy, Meta. So we should do that sometime soon.
Yeah, for sure. If you want to play Phantasma, we should play Phantasma.
I'll write that down and I'll install it. And on that note, we'll wrap it up because I know you've got to go and we're starting to talk about video games. That
Yeah, no problem. No problem at all.
cool. Well, thanks so much, guys.
Thank you everybody for joining us, and we're doing another AMA with reward miners soon, and then after that we'll do something with them as well. Sorry, Poseidon, I think that was
No, that was
you.
hard. That was hard worker who was going to try to talk.
Too bad, hard worker.
You're not working hard enough.
I'm sorry. Did you say something? I couldn't understand you. You're good. Your French is coming through poorly.
Did you drop your phone down a well and you're trying to yell at it from a distance? Well, thanks for hosting, hard worker, and thanks, guys.
Did he say? Did he say he has to put down the baguette?
That's funny. Cool. Anyway, cheers, guys. I'll see you guys in this server and in CryptoVillages server.